Tupac kind of falls into my left arm.
A music icon killed in our streets.
I'm asking what happened, who shot you?
Fox 5 News investigates theories of revenge, corruption, and rap's most powerful.
It leads back to
Who Killed Tupac? Thursday on Fox 5 News at 10.
Las Vegas, Nevada. The most popular hip-hop star on the planet, Tupac Shakur, bleeds out in a BMW, victim of a drive-by shooting. 6 months later, rival rapper Biggie Smalls is brutally gunned down on the streets of LA in an eerily similar fashion. Both murders are forever linked and currently unsolved. Who killed Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls?
They'd have killed him right in front of the Pope.
Some say they were murdered by their closest allies.
They put a hit out on Pac for $1 million.
Were they truly victims of an East Coast, West Coast rap rivalry? Or was that just a cover for something more sinister?
guns, drugs, money. This is a really bad formula here.
Anybody that ever put their hands on me, I'll tell you, might not get you that day, but you're going to get got.
Well, Reggie Wright is taboo, you know, and he's part of it.
The Compton killings that occurred thereafter after Tupac was shot was just a diversion to make, you know, general public, law enforcement believe it was a blood crip thing. When indeed, I mean, it was all orchestrated.
I have never been the type of guy that go and put any type of work, will never get no car and do nothing. I'm a reactor. I'm one that with you and that's going to react to things that happens. But yeah, I don't believe in being spontaneous at all. And so that's what I mean when I say I will orchestrate something.
Reggie Wright Jr., the head of security for Right Way Security and Death Row, organized the personnel to plan the hit, and I believe police officers were a big part of the hit.
You know, if I want somebody to get slapped or something like that, we're going to put a plan together. You'll never get me being emotional like a bitch and spontaneous and taking penitentiary chances. No. You probably can slap me. And I always said, you slap me, you might get away with slapping me right then. But trust me, you're going to pay for that slap one day. And that's what I mean by that.
Now we need to check out another part of Michael Carlin's theory. Reggie Wright Jr. and the allegedly dirty cops who he and Suge Knight was bringing into the inner circle of death row.
Stay away from Reggie Wright Jr.
I'm putting cases on some of them guys, so.
He is working with the feds.
Where are Biggie and Tupac?
As Denzel Washington said, I'm putting cases on.
You got a lot to cover up, y'all.
Freudian slip.
You got a lot to cover up.
We spoke to two head investigators on Tupac's murder. Here are their theories of the event.
I won't deny it, I'm a straight ride.
September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur, along with his associates from Death Row Records, are leaving a Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Hotel and Casino when they see Orlando Anderson, a known Southside Crip from Los Angeles. In this video from inside the MGM, Shakur, along with Suge Knight, can be seen kicking and stomping Anderson. Just after 11 p.m., Tupac, Suge Knight, and the rest of their entourage of about 6 cars were headed to a club. They were stopped here at the intersection of Koval and Flamingo. A white Cadillac pulled up alongside Knight's BMW and opened fire. Shakur was sitting in the passenger side and was hit multiple times. This is the last photo taken of Shakur the night of the shooting. He died 5 days later at UMC at the age of 25. 6 months later in Los Angeles, East Coast rapper Christopher Wallace, otherwise known as Notorious B.I.G., is gunned down leaving a party. LAPD detective Russell Poole is assigned the case and found the murder of Shakur and Wallace were connected.
Russell Poole was investigating this crime, and it kept leading to off-duty police officers. And he kept being told by management at the LA, hey, stop, you're investigating investigating.
Poole was eventually taken off the case. He quit the force and sued the LAPD. Author Michael Carlin helped Poole publish multiple books about his findings.
I'm just calling to tell you, look over your shoulder.
And says Poole never stopped working on the murders.
Dave Demersion is the senior ADA at the district attorney's office. We started having these meetings, and Dave was like, I'm still just not interested, not feeling this case. We doubled our efforts. We came up with 45 Tupac murder facts. We handed that to him, and finally he said, I am very interested in this case now.
In September 2015, 19 years after Shakur's murder, Poole scores a meeting with investigators.
A man takes 2 billion heartbeats, and the last 2,000 of his heartbeats are in a meeting with the sheriffs talking about sheriff corruption, and he passes away in the meeting. I mean, it defies logic.
Carlin says Poole had uncovered evidence that those inside Death Row Records planned to kill Suge Knight to take over the label. Shakur was also a target because, according to Poole, he was planning to leave the label and take hundreds of unreleased songs with him. FBI documents and former LAPD officers confirmed Death Row Records employed multiple officers who worked security.
The motive is Death Row Records. Death Row Records was worth $500 million. And the reality is, cops were involved in the murder of Tupac. The reason this hasn't been solved is because it leads back to cops.
Fox 5 tried to contact the former Compton police officer who took over Death Row Records after the murder. He did not respond.
Profile unsolved cases
right here in Las Vegas. Exactly.
Incredible. Great work, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Several informants told investigators the white Cadillac used in the shooting of Tupac was rented. However, police were never able to track down the car. We also reached out to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. They told us they couldn't comment because the investigation into the death of Tupac Shakur is still ongoing. Greg Kading, the LAPD officer we spoke to for this piece, has published a book and has a documentary about his findings. He was taken off the investigation after an internal review found him guilty of altering witness statements.
And you are on their side. You're buddies with all of them, and you're protecting them. And why
You're
can't
right.
there just be
You're
an
absolutely
investigation?
right. Greg, what were you doing in 1996? Wait a second. Are we really going to get into, what were you doing the night of Tupac Shakur's murder?
So, guys,
what's going on?
Greg Kading is out. His lawyer won't let him do it, so Greg Kading is out. His lawyer won't let him do it, so.
Hey, Greg, where were you the night Tupac Shakur was murdered?
I have absolutely no idea.
We've been waiting around for Kading all day, and
and now
he's not
he's a
coming.
no-show.
Really, I wanted to talk to him because there's so much to ask him.
Yeah.
Greg Kading has no credibility on this subject matter. He became a task force member on the Biggie case 10 years after the fact. Kading left the LAPD in disgrace for his false testimony on a federal murder and racketeering case, United States versus George Torres Ramos, CR 06-656A SVW. Guilty verdicts were overturned in part due to Kading's testimony. He said LAPD cleared him of those charges, but that is not entirely true. Kading also had some help writing his book from disgraced LA Times reporter Chuck Phillips. Kading forget there were actual eyewitnesses to the Biggie killing. He spends a lot of time talking about things he knows nothing about. This is a desperate attempt for Kading to salvage his reputation. Suge Knight is a suspect, but not for the reasons Kading talks about. In closing, Kading never attempted to interview me regarding the Biggie investigation. He makes a lot of false statements about me and my part in the investigation. Retired LAPD homicide detective Russell Poole.
I used a racial term. I said, I'm not a racist.
Reggie Wright Jr., the head of security for Right Way Security and Death Row, organized the personnel to plan the hit, and I believe police officers were a big part of the hit.
So today I want to talk about the John Highland bankruptcy. And shout out to Del Rey for exposing this. I would have never known about it unless somebody had pointed out to me that this bankruptcy existed. So October the 24th of 2024, John Highland files for bankruptcy. And it's interesting to note that, he has two different addresses. He has a Woodman Avenue address and a P.O. box for his mailing. And that's really the only time that his street address is really listed. It's listed at other points in the bankruptcy where it's required, where a P.O. box is not required, or is required. I mean, not allowed, where a P.O. box is not allowed. So 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:36 to be exact, there is a bankruptcy filing that happens. And John lists, he lists property and total liabilities of $164,545. He's got tax problems. He's got other property. He's got a Tesla that's listed as his property. He's got a dog that's listed. He's got a gun that's listed. And he lists Bomb1st. He says, debtor is the sole member of Bomb1st LLC, which was created for a YouTube channel that debtor was going to operate out of debtor's residence. However, debtor never operated the business, and there is no goodwill value, no bank accounts, and no accounts receivable. And that is the only reference that's made in this initial filing to Bomb1st. And he lists that at a zero value. And so we get down further on. He's affirming that he wants to keep the loan for the Tesla, and he's listing creditors that have unsecured claims. Evidently, IRS has a $17,000 claim against him. Apple Card, Best Buy, Capital One. And there's no mention of Reggie Wright Jr. as a creditor in this initial filing. There's no reference to the channel Bomb1st in this filing. And it looks like he's trying to just slide Bomb1st through in this filing. So he doesn't list it as an asset. He signs under penalty of perjury. I declare that I've read the summary and schedules filed in this declaration, and he signs his name, and it's 10/18/2024. And so we find out that his income from January 1st until this filing was $83,028. The previous year, $121,000, and the previous year, 2022, was $186,000. And he got unemployment of $6,300. So this filing pretty much tells us that John is trying to pass Bomb1st through this bankruptcy, stating that it's really not worth anything. And we'll see from subsequent filings what ends up happening in this. And if we look at the actual list that's in the back of these filings, you can see that there is no Reggie Wright Jr. listed as a creditor. So now, when we look at John Highland's other filings, I'm just going to point out a few things that I think are of note. So, later on, it becomes debtor is the sole member of Bomb1st LLC, which was created in 2024 to assume ownership and control of debtor's YouTube channel while the LLC operates out of debtor's residence. It has not acquired ownership of the YouTube channel and has never conducted any business. Accordingly, there is no goodwill value, no bank accounts, and no accounts receivable. But then he also states in a subsequent filing debtor is the owner of a YouTube channel that has operated since February of 2011. The channel is an interview style with one specific reoccurring guest. In 2023, debtor sold the rights to approximately 70% of the advertising revenue from the site for the ensuing 36 months. See 18 in the SOFA, Statement of Financial Affairs. The remaining approximately 30% is paid to the recurring guest of the channel. Debtor does not believe the channel has any intrinsic value without the regular involvement of the debtor. So, 70% was sold off in 2023. And from this, we don't know what the date was. But you know, things that you do 24 months prior to or 12 months prior to any bankruptcy filing is subject to scrutiny. And sometimes there are criminal charges that go with that stuff. And we don't know here what it is, but we know in document 23 now, Reggie Wright Jr. is listed as a co-debtor of this bankruptcy filing, which is kind of strange. Why is he listed as a co-debtor? Because evidently, somehow, Reggie's involved in that money that was received. And we don't know the details about it, but there was money that was received. And Reggie Wright Jr. is listed at his Corona, California P.O. box. And he's calling it services rendered, debtor. So we find out a little bit more that Content Finance Inc., 1508 Marshall Lane, Austin, Texas, 78703, paid for the revenue stream of the Bomb1st channel. And then and that was 35%. And then another place called Future Limited, the Courtyard, Shoreham Road, Upper Breeding, Staying, West Sussex, BN44. That was the other creditor that had basically secured a lien on the channel. And so the previous address of John was on Colfax Avenue in North Hollywood. And then we find out that the sources, or the gross income that was received prior to, was now 121, 172, and 186,000. So John's rolling kind of good back in the day and not paying his bills, so that he files this what looks to be a bankruptcy that was unnecessary. He didn't need to. And now, by document 23, Reggie Wright Jr. is listed as a co-debtor, but he's also listed as a creditor, and he was paid $6,740, and there's still $3,000 outstanding, which makes him a creditor of John. And now he has the ability to go and become a part of the creditors committee, which he'll be able to keep tabs on John Highland's bankruptcy. And the Content Finance Inc., DBA Creative Juice, 54 Marshall Lane, he got $75,000 selling his content, and it was sold in, I guess, 2023 for $75,000, and it was supposed to be for 36 months. Now, if John doesn't own the channel, does that still happen? I don't know. It's something unknown, because I think this channel is probably going to be sold. And Future they paid $97,657 for 36 months of ad revenue, and that's the England company that paid for John's revenues. And then Bomb1st LLC is listed at a P.O. box, and it has an EIN number of 992225877, and has been going since March 14th of 2024. So in anticipation of filing in October, he creates an LLC in March, which seems a little bit suspect to me. So the Chapter 7 trustee, for all you that want to know, is Nancy Zamora. She can be reached at zamora3@aol.com. That is the trustee that's probably going to sell the Bomb1st channel, which anybody that wants to put in a bid, you probably need to reach out to Nancy and ask her how you bid on the channel. So the original filing that happened did not list anything to do with the Bomb1st sales that happened. And Reggie was not listed as a creditor. Document 35 also now lists cameras that were not listed. And it says debtor has 3 cameras and other miscellaneous recording equipment that are used for his YouTube channel, referenced in number 19 below. This equipment is located at debtor's residence and with his brother, who is the regular cameraman for his YouTube channel, and that's listed at $9,000. Again, document 35 mentions on the channel, debtor is the sole proprietor of a YouTube channel that has operated since February of 2011. The channel is an interview style with one specific reoccurring guest. In 2023, debtor sold the rights to approximately 70% of the advertising revenue from the site of the ensuing 36 months. See number 18 in the Statement of Financial Affairs. The remaining approximately 30% is paid to the recurring guest of the channel. The business consists of a video catalog of approximately 1,700 videos. 1,700 videos, so whoever buys this is getting the copyright on all of that content. The value of the business, along with its corresponding intellectual property rights listed herein, is for exemption purposes only, since the debtor does not know what the fair market value is. Debtor does not believe that the channel has any intrinsic value without the regular involvement of the debtor. Well, there's 1,700 archived videos. What's the value of those archived videos? You know, that's going to be probably sold at some kind of an auction, 1,700 videos. The 3 cameras, of course, that's $9,000. There's a handgun for $300. And so then, in a subsequent schedule, he says debtor is the sole proprietor of YouTube channel that has operated since February of 2011. The channel is an interview style with one specific reoccurring guest. The 2023 debtor sold the rights to approximately 70% of the advertising revenue from the site. And now he lists the channel's value at $25,000, saying it is exempt, and he's intending for that channel to pass through this bankruptcy. Will it pass through the bankruptcy? It's unclear. But here's the crazy thing about it. There is a UCC1 that is filed by both of these companies to put a lien on the channel. And I think John and Reggie just thought this would pass through the bankruptcy. And it probably didn't. And they probably did a check on the UCC1s, because those are liens. You got to, a bankruptcy is going to check the liens and find out if there's any liens on anything associated with the debtor that is filing. And there is indeed a UCC1, and they probably thought that they would never check. And so evidently in 2023, the 70% was sold, and that revenue went somewhere, and it can be clawed back in a bankruptcy, and who knows what's going to happen. There was an examination that was done, and there's a co-debtor which is listed as Reggie Wright Jr., and this is new. he's a co-debtor because somehow he has a lien or some kind of an interest in the Bomb1st channel, which was unlisted in the original bankruptcy filing. So maybe they predated, post-dated, whatever, some kind of documentation to put Reggie in. So Reggie, once again, is involved in some bullshit. And we don't know what this bullshit is, but we know this. If Reggie gets through this one, we know he's protected by the feds. Daz came out and said, stay away from Reggie because he's working with the feds. Well, we're going to know. Because if nothing happens to these guys after they do this kind of malfeasance in a bankruptcy filing, well, then we know that the feds are protecting Reggie. Now, another thing that wasn't listed in the original filing was within 1 year before you filed bankruptcy, were you a party in any lawsuit? Well, Mighty Bolton versus Reggie Wright et al., case number 524 CV 01820-MWC-DTB for copyright infringement. And that case is concluded, and it was brought in the Eastern Division of California, the Riverside, 12th Street Riverside Court, and it was dismissed, evidently 1-2 of 25. I don't know what that case is. We probably can find out by going and looking at the court. So the content finance thing, we're getting a little bit more information in a subsequent filing. And I'm going to include all this, by the way, in a link down below so you guys can look at these documents yourself and scrutinize it. Content Finance, Inc. evidently signs the deal 1/6 of 2023. And John files bankruptcy in October of 2024. So that's within the 2-year limit. Well, Future Limited from England, and they pay, by the way, $97,657. That deal was signed 11/29 of 2023 for almost $100,000, and John files bankruptcy in 10 of 2024. That's a real no-no. You're not supposed to file bankruptcy within a year of having just taken in $97,000 in cash. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do with this. And then, of course, we have the corporation that gets filed in 3, which is March of 2024, and then John files bankruptcy in October of 2024. Now, here's an interesting one. Matin Production. Stephen C. Vondran, the law offices of Stephen C. Vondran. I don't know what that is, but that appears as a new creditor, and you know that is kind of interesting to me. And I just wonder if that is somehow supposed to be Martin instead of Matin, and they just misspell it because they don't want people to know what it is. And then, of course, we go to the additional list because they're adding creditors. Crossing of Bellevue, Chloe Banker, Internal Revenue Service, Matin Production, David McGriff, Future Limited, Mighty Bolton, and United States District Court in Riverside are all added. And so if anybody is interested in finding out more about this bankruptcy, you might want to contact the United States Trustee, which is USTPREGION16.wh.ecf@usdoj.gov. You might also want to contact the other Department of Justice people that are involved in this case, and it's ERYK.R.ESCOBAR@usdoj.gov, or Veronica Hernandez, VERONICAHERNANDEZ @usdoj.gov. The feds are for sure looking into this case because there's malfeasance written all over it. And what may happen is document 23 finally lists these channels, and they list Reggie. There may be a sale of Bomb1st. I mean, it's highly likely that there could be a sale. And when we look at Reggie's fee in this, he got paid $6,700. There's $3,000 outstanding, and that's from 7/25 of 2024 to 10/24 of 2024. So he's getting like 10 grand, every couple of months. The judge in this case is the Honorable Martin R. Barash, United States Bankruptcy Court, and that's 21041 Burbank Boulevard, Suite 342, Woodland Hills, California, 91367. And so this appears to be some kind of bankruptcy fraud. Now, we don't know. We don't know that this is something that they want to prosecute. But it looks like he sold 70% of the revenue on the channel, and part of that was done within 2 years of filing bankruptcy, and the other half was done within 1 year of filing bankruptcy. But think about it. You take in $172,000 for 3 years of the revenue, 70% of the revenue on the channel. And then you claim that the channel's only worth $25,000. And in the very first filing, he valued it at $0. This whole thing stinks to high heaven. And we're going to see what's going to happen. It's going to play out. I've given you guys the information that you need to make effective decisions about what to do. But anybody out there that wants to bid on the Bomb1st channel, it looks like it's actively in play and it's for sale. And let's see who's going to buy the Bomb1st channel and those 1,700 videos. And I'd encourage you all out there to download every one of Reggie's videos because, it's already being done in the investigation that's happening in Las Vegas. But those videos may go away soon because somebody's going to be a successful bidder. And we're going to see what happens with this channel in the future.
We know that David Mack and the other dude with the people they put down because they was outside the Peterson Museum after the whole shit went down.
Greg Kading, the LAPD officer we spoke to for this piece, has published a book and has a documentary about his findings. He was taken off the investigation after an internal review found him guilty of altering witness statements.
Kading should be brought up on charges for falsifying evidence.
Hey, Sharita, you ain't just my friend with me on the phone now. Be nice.
No, that was my friend too. That was my friend.
That's still your friend.
That's my friend too.
And you are on their side. You're buddies with all of them, and you're protecting them. And why can't there just be an investigation?
Right.
So guys,
What's going on?
Greg Kading is out. His lawyer won't let him do it, so
we've been waiting around for Kading all day, and
now
he's not
he's a
coming.
no-show.
Really, I wanted to talk to him because there's so much to ask him.
Yeah.
If it wasn't me, I would have liked the whole scene too. But my friend knew that what was portrayed in that movie, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not even going down Kevin's line. I'm talking about Sharitha Knight. You knew for a fact that was not said in that living room.
Everywhere, big business. You want to be successful? You want to be like Trump?
Where are Biggie and Tupac?
You got a lot to cover up, y'all.
Freudian slip.
You got a lot to cover up.
We got a lot to cover up.
About 2 weeks after that, I was contacted by Reggie to go over to Santa Monica Police Department to pick up this firearm.
Hackey says he first showed the handgun to his FBI handlers and then turned it over to Reggie Wright Jr.
The common denominator on both of those is Reggie.
A month later in Las Vegas, Investigators say it was a .40 Glock handgun that killed Tupac Shakur. Hackey believes the murder weapon was the same gun he gave Reggie Wright Jr.
I believe it is.
What up, Bomb1st family? How y'all doing? Hey, John, you got a lot to cover up, y'all. You know, say we got a lot to cover up.
Reggie knows. I know he does. Because he said some things that are weird. I said, dang, man, that's pretty sad. I said, financially, that's going to fuck some shit up. And he goes, we ain't going to be hurt for nothing.
Puffy was going up the stairs, and he said, I don't care if Tupac died, I don't care if Biggie gotta die, and I don't care if Suge gotta go to prison for the rest of his life.
We got a confession letter on how everything went down and who's responsible.
Now, getting back to Russell was following in the footsteps of his dad, and he was able to work through the LAPD and have all the things that had to be done within the LAPD. He certainly knew the streets very well, and circumstances in his case were far more tragic because he was killed in the line of duty.
Hold your head on repeat. Listen to the beat again and again in my playpen till Tupac appeared to me. Finally I see. How do we keep the music playing with these devils betraying? Rap games, ghost, hocus pocus flows, exposing my foes and their John Does. Mad respect, Russell Poole detect, murderers checked. Now rest your head, bless the dead while the message spreads. Machiavelli said, my killers have not yet bled.
They got to be sorry for what they did. Like I said, I had two of the toughest guys for him, and Reggie pulled them off of me. It didn't have to happen. I told him to send 5 guys from the club to there, and they never sent nobody.
Suge was set up.
I'm like, cuz, you going to Vegas? You going to Vegas, cuz? They finna try to do something to me.
I mean, murder is pretty simple. The first person you go after is the spouse.
Perez and them was all involved. They were trying to kill me too, but see, because Perez and Reg was good friends, and Perez and Sarita and Reg is great friends, and so all those three together was trying to plot.
Why would I want a paper trail when I never brought him around nowhere? So if I'm gonna hide him in secret, you think I'm gonna let somebody catch a paper trail? They were paid cash by Snoop.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It was a murder for hire hit.
If it was an actual shooting in Vegas, it's on camera in Vegas.
It's witnesses that said they gave no sex to kill me. So I knew it was cameras everywhere in Vegas because I went to UNLV.
All of the corners in Vegas was equipped with cameras.
Those guys, if you go back and watch the film, they was already stalking Pac, watching him. So that just tipped the iceberg when something happened. But there was a plan already to do something to him. How come Reggie is Suge's bodyguard and he wasn't with Suge? We went to Las Vegas Metro in '97. After Biggie was killed, I think there's got to be a connection between the two. The politicians said they don't want to solve it, so they told the investigators put it up on the shelf. I'm quite sure they saw the first one, they saw the second one because it's the same circle of people.
You got a lot to cover up, y'all.
Freudian slip.
You got a lot to cover up.
Orlando wasn't even the shooter, you know? He was actually a good kid too, you know?
The same guy that told them, Orlando Anderson, told them that Biggie got killed by the Southside Crips.
Technically, nobody knew about the whole thing.
No, let me just say that. No, it wasn't the discrepancy. The discrepancy is people say, I called names. I didn't call names. I didn't say it was Orlando, Keefe, and all of them.
I had gotten all kind of intelligence from my informants an hour after the shooting went down. He called me and started telling me, hey, man, you know, there was Orlando and them behind this. They got in a fight because they saw the chain, saw Orlando and all that. He says, but it's them.
I didn't know about the beatdown until a couple of days later.
Trickery, witchery, foolery, flop, plot to take out Suge and Pac. Traffic stop starts the clock. Collusion of industry, street, and cop.
LA had tricked Vegas to have their police and their people out there during that time. Some gang initiative or whatever.
Filmmaker takes one last shot. 60 seconds after, no more laughter. Half dead whips out Fatal's Glock. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. Quite the head turner, they's dad came over Nate's burner. Got 'em on Porky Squawker, surviving a real shocker. Fat ass said, we got a lot to cover up, y'all, and that's what's up. Stripped the straps, unloaded gats, Buntry shot back. 3 men in the caddy, just smoked a fatty, but it wasn't Sugar Daddy.
Supposedly there's a hit on Suge.
Wounds are life-threatening, but serious, not in critical condition at this time. And the person, as you are already aware, who was the passenger in this vehicle, is a known rap performer by the name of Tupac Shakur.
All the traffic lights, all the cameras, there's no way possible anybody should got away with that.
With Tupac, I still got a 45 bullet etched in my skull.
We've been informed that doctors have told the family members that they expect the rap star to once again recover from his injuries.
They know who was going on behind all that stuff, you know? How much would it cost to get rid of Suge? They said, what you mean by get rid of him? He said, kill him.
They put a hit on Suge.
Reggie's dad told me that. Well, he said, Michael, if anything happened to Suge, that's what he told me. Anything happened to Suge, Reggie would run the majority of the company. It's the same people, same circle of people. It have nothing to do with me, you know? Read this on the paper.
Oh, yeah.
And then you gonna sit here and think,
who is your biggest defender on this, Teresa?
Fuck Suge and what Suge said. That's how I feel.
Yeah, Reggie would carry most of the burden. It's tough for me because they want the ownership of my company.
Hey, John, you got a lot to cover up, y'all.
Doctor said Pac's on the mend.
We tried to form some security detail, at least around the floor, around his room, because they had him on the first floor.
Surrounded by friends. Foes called in to make kin spin, finish him off.
We were pissed off. I'm like, this is an assassination attempt, right? And y'all got him on the first floor near a window.
Pac shook the bed, for his life he pled.
By the time I got there, remember I was coming from LA. So by the time I got there, he had tubes in his throat, in his nose, in his mouth. So he ain't talk to me, not verbally. He was conscious. He was trying to talk. He did want to talk, but he didn't actually verbalize any words. I always, that's gonna be one of the biggest mysteries in my life, because he was trying to tell me something. He was trying so hard. He was shaking the bed. He was looking at me, with his big old eyes, and I know he was trying to tell me something, but I don't know.
IVs to the vein go straight to the brain. Poison would ease his pain. It only took a drop to make his heart stop. D.O.G. Scorsese created the distraction. Lulled protectors in action for the final transaction.
The head of gangs and homicide from the Compton PD is Reggie Wright Sr. And the head of security at Death Row is Reggie Wright Jr.
The vice president on TV talking about taking my record off the shelves. Police, every time they see me, they think I'm a cop killer.
It was an assassination attempt on Suge in Las Vegas, who would have everything to gain. Tupac and the other artists on Death Row, it turned to jealousy, and from jealousy to hate.
I don't know what kind of nextel he had, but he had the motherfucker could go that whatever it was hitting him all the way from what was going on from Vegas.
I could have jumped out on his ass in Vegas, but it was killing me. But Snoop was like, "Hold on, don't fuck this up."
They was like, we could hear the shit, and then he started getting calls and shit, and they was telling him that
Tupac got shot.
He the only one knows the reason why Tupac's dead. More than me. And I was in the car with him.
And I was told it was an operation. It was a planned assassination.
How come Reggie is Suge's bodyguard and he wasn't with Suge?
He wanted to be Suge Knight so bad.
Where stuff really come from, it come from because they weren't the ownership of my company.
Because I feel like the same people that was trying to kill Pop was trying to kill Suge. You know what I'm saying? Them bullets was coming for everything in that car.
And if I do that, I'll be putting handcuffs on Snoop.
Police did not follow up on the most basic lead.
Just happened to have officers in the spot at the right time, were able to radio ahead.
The cops that they trying to connect to death row were never hired on death row.
He had no relationship with any police officers.
When I got shot, it was 37 cameras.
All the artists at death row was willing to come with me.
There's other rappers who wanted Suge taken out.
Yo, it was so much corruption in LAPD. If they would have solved Big case, LAPD would have been shut down.
I'm scared of no one. My pitch was to the record labels and to the company was to have police officers that could be good witnesses and for the inmates.
You crooked ass cop.
I didn't need to take from niggas. I was institutionalized a motherfucker. If I felt threatened by anybody, if you want to know the real. Nigga would have went to jail for a long time fucking with me.
Get everything you deserve.
Perez and Sarita and Reg is great friends, and so all those three together was trying to plot.
You always will tell you, those are Reggie people.
Suge didn't let none of my security ride with me. Because I feel like they finna try to do something to me.
Police corruption cannot exist. Cannot exist unless it is condoned and tolerated by upper police management.
Greg Kading is out. His lawyer won't let him do it.
You crooked ass cop.
Las Vegas PD is given a copy of the confession letter. They do absolutely nothing with it.
Could it be that the police department had something to do with Tupac's murder?
Coroner's hearse, idols nearby, a dear mama goodbye. Rushed autopsy, quick cremation, police celebrations. Enemies snicker, Haitian bootlicker. We the people mourn, hearts are torn. Bulk of the nation, radio stations, next generations.
And that's what happened. Our lives was in jeopardy.
Suge in the hospital there, something wasn't right.
You know, situation was, me and Pac had a little falling out a day or two before that in New York.
Now, you don't take no ass with them like that unless something's up. Unless the goose is cooked.
Who do you think killed Tupac?
I believe Orlando Anderson killed Tupac.
Are Sarita and Reggie Wright Jr. telling the truth? Michael Carlin doesn't think so.
Orlando wasn't even a shooter, He was actually a good kid, too, No, Orlando Anderson, here he is, the only Southside Crip standing in a casino. He was planetary.
Wow, the last time I saw him, he was laying in the bed, holding on to his last breath.
Yeah, John, we got a lot to cover up.
Sold cops throw shade and blame, fill the frame. Orlando's a throwaway patsy, denies the murder flatly. It's a cover-up, a chaos merchant's cover-up. Can't stop the truth from bubbling up. This shit's a cover-up.
Nobody cared about Pac having the right amount of security at all, period.
No one cared.
It was not mentioned at all.
No one cared. And every time I ask Reggie, he gets really defensive. Suge in the hospital there, something wasn't right.
Interfering with the Vegas case. He's a lieutenant in Compton, LAPD, whatever. Interfering with the Vegas case.
Jimmy is close personal friend
Because Pop, that weekend before he went, was talking about pulling away from the labels and starting their own.
What me and Biggie want to do is take control of distribution of rap music. I said, oh boy, do you know what you're going up against? Do you understand the organized criminal networks you're going up against and the two major ethnic groups that run it? He said, yeah, we do. I said, well, you and Biggie can't do no shit like this. He said, we're not alone. We are organizing other young rappers.
And let's go and try to be a distributor on our own. At that time, it was 6 majors, and he was trying to be number 7. I remember he was talking about calling it Lucky 7.
Said if you control distribution, you can let them have their labels, you can give them anything else they want, but control distribution. From there, you control the industry.
And we don't want that, man. It's enough brothers out here dying already.
Yeah, John, y'all got a lot to cover up. Y'all motherfuckers got Pac. Do y'all know how much that hurts our hearts?
Quail made you famous, your voice made you dangerous. Victim of jealousy, pour out your Hennessy. Death is calling me.
Stay away from Reggie Wright Jr. He is working with the feds.
In seconds, Biggie Smalls was dead, shot like Tupac in the passenger seat. According to the police, no random event, but a well-executed hit by a still unknown assailant.
What's the hate parade for? Oh, cause you killed Biggie? Well, if I did, wouldn't it make you supposed to love me even more if you love Tupac?
Anybody that ever put their hands on me, I'll tell you, might not get you that day, but you're gonna get got.
Tupac is a great man. Still a great man. And if Tupac was here, that'd be the one person front line for me to get out of prison. Right now, seems like no one cares, like jealousy took over. And the slave masters got niggas back being slaves. You even got a black slave master dressing like the slave masters. Enough said.